The 21st of April, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay. So that's the din of the shtar hakna. According to Shmuel, you give it back to the bailim. And Rashi's going to probably tell us who the bailim is referring to. So without further ado, maybe let's take a look at the Rashi right now. So we're going to take a look at Rashi, Dibur Maskil Shtar Hakna. It's a little bit down from the words of the Gemora.
Well, let's see. What Rashi you want? Star Hakna, the star of acquisition.
Shtar Hakna.
Okay, star Hakna. Yeah. Shekanu Memenu, that he purchased, acquired from him. Shteilu lo yelave amot, even though he didn't borrow any money. Shibud atzmo, he obligates himself l'shlomam in order to pay it.
Yeah. Sounds pretty weird, right? Don't know why anybody would do that. But in any case, that's the terms of this shtar hakna. That the so-called loiva, he's mishabed himself in order to be, in other words, to be chayiv, to pay what the document says, even if the loan was actually never made. So it seems like there was an agreement that there should be a loan, that the loan would be made, but the second party, even if in the event that it never actually got money loaned to him, he nevertheless is agreeing to be mishabed himself in this document. So therefore we give it back to the bailim. Oh, so Rashi didn't say who the bailim was, but the bailim is referring to the malva, who perhaps never made the actual loan. Okay. Okay. So, and Phil read the Gemara. The Gemara basically said that the two. Why should we give it back to the bailim? Because we're not worried that maybe the loan was never paid, because that's what the Lova said he's going to do. He's going to pay even though he never got the loan. So we could give it back to the one who it says is the malva. And if you'll say that, oh, maybe we should be choshish that the loan actually was made and he paid it up, that we're also not choshish for, because ordinarily the lova, when he pays and the malva has to give him the shtar back, the lova is going to tear it up right away. And so we don't expect that if it was found in the shuk that we should give it back to the lova. Rather, we assume that it fell from the hand of the malva. And so therefore, we're going to give it back to the malva. That's so says Shmuel. Okay, so now we're up to Amar of Nachman.
Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said, Abba min safrei dayane demar Shmuel Hava. My father was one of Shmuel's court scribes. The Havina Kavar Shita Kavar Sheva. And I was 6 or 7 years old. Ude Karna Dehayu Mak Rizei V'amrei. And I recall that they would announce and say, Hane Shitare Ak Nayasa de Mish Takha Bishuka. These documents of acquisition that are found in the street Nihad Ri Nahu Limarihu should be returned to their owners, i.e., to the creditors.
Right. Okay, Rashi. Mishtare. What do they call them? Oh, maybe.
That's not a Rashi. We did a Shtar Kana. This is Kol Ma'aseh Beitin. We didn't do that. Kol Ma'aseh Beitin.
Oh, this next Rashi is another type of a star that we didn't get to yet. Okay, so Reb Nachman is just coming to weigh in over here on the side of Shmuel and saying he remembers. He's saying Edus. He's testifying that he remembers hearing exactly what Shmuel is on record as teaching in the Bezdin of Shmuel. So that Shmuel did Lamaisa exactly what we have him on record as teaching. That when you find such a document, you give it back to the owners, and the owners is the Malva. Okay, so we're up to Amram.
Amar Rav Amram. Rav Amram said, Af Anan Tanina. We also learned similarly in the Mishnah. Kol Maaseh Beis Din. If anyone finds any document recording an act of the court, Harei Zeh Yachazir, he should return it. And my English says he should return it to the creditor. I don't know where he's getting that from. Maybe it's from Rashi.
Well, there is a Rashi on this. Kol Maaseh Beitin. All things of the oath of being based in. Should I read that now and see what changes? Kol Maaseh Beitin. Every act of the based in. Kasai Kadaka should think that Shtare, a star Shekatav, that's written in it. Hanafek Shenit Kayem, the based in, that it's established and based in. We see Kaven Deleka Lemichash. There's no concern. Lishma
Shemalolova.
Shemalolova, that perhaps it's not for the borrower. Shahari aim makimin at the star. We don't establish the star. Ella only ifnei baal din, only in front of the judges. Kedamrim we say, and now it's written in a different place in Hanigzal, which is in Bava Kama Daf Kafya Bet. The paron to pay lo chayishan, to pay it we're not concerned for payment.
Right. Okay. Okay. So Rashi is explaining over here that according to this statement of Rav Amram, he's saying Af Anan Tanina. We even learned as much in a Mishnah. We got a Mishnah that supports this, what Shmuel is saying over here. Because it says in the Mishnah, Kol Masa Bezdin, any star which we see on the star, it's a recording an act that Bezdin engaged in. Rashi will explain what is that referring to. That document will give back. We'll give it back to the Malva. And and Rashi explains, what does it mean over here, Kol Masa Bezdin? What is a star which we refer to it as a that there was a Masa Bezdin. So Rashi says, Kuf Samad Daled, Kosal Kadaitach. Now what that means, what Rashi's saying over here is that right now at this juncture of the Gemora, we're thinking that this is what the Mishnah means when it says Kol Masa Bezdin. Kosal Kadaitach, we're thinking to say that it's talking about a star shekasad bo henpek, sheniz kaim bezdin. They were talking about a star that it's written an official authorization of the judges that they certified this star as a valid star. So al mokevan deleka lemichash shema lo ilava. So what that means is, says Rashi, that means that we don't have to concern ourselves with, well, maybe this star was just written up in order to make the loan with this star. But at the end of the day, the loan never was actually made. No, we don't have to worry about such a thing, says Rashi. Why? Sharei ein mekaymin es hashtar el bifnei baldin. Because the Bezdin is not going to certify this as a valid star unless the other Baldin is there. Who's the other Baldin? What does it mean, a Baldin? Doesn't mean a judge. It means somebody who's a party to the case. In other words, you got somebody who's trying to get money out from somebody, and then you got somebody that they're trying to get the money out from. In this case, it's a malva and a lova. So l'chora, what Rashi means to say is the Bezdin is not going to write to put this certification on the star unless the lova acknowledged that it is in fact a valid star, meaning to say that he actually got the loan. Okay. So that's what we think we're talking about at this point. Now the Gemora goes on. We're going to pick up with the word Alma.
Alma lo Chayshinan the Peiraon. It follows then that the Mishnah holds that when we are certain of the authenticity of the debt recorded in a recovered document, we are not concerned about the possibility of the debt's payment.
Right. In other words, once what do we have over here? We got a star, which is certified. What's it mean is the star that's certified? It means that the loan that it says on that document was actually made. So now we know for a fact that a loan was made. Oh, okay. So we should give it to the Malva, right? Oh, 1 second. Maybe, even though the loan was made, but maybe the loan was paid up by the Lova already. But you see from this Mishnah that it's enough that we have the star certified. And once we know that we got the star certified, it means that the loan was actually made, so we give it right to the Malva. Oh, why should we give it to the Malva? It must be that you see from this Mishnah that we don't entertain the possibility that even though the loan was made, it was already paid up. So therefore, we got a proof from this Mishnah that lo haishinin lepi rayon. We do not entertain the possibility that the loan was paid off. Therefore, we're going to give the document back to the Malva.
The reason being because he would have torn it up if he paid it.
Right. That's what we said before. Okay. Now comes Reb Zera. Amar Reb Zera.
Amar Rab Zera. Let's see, where are we? Amar Le Rab Zera, Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera said to Rav Amram, Mas nisin bishtare chalta sa ve'ad rachta. The Mishnah's phrase act of the court refers not to a certified note of indebtedness, but to certificates of foreclosure and seizure warrants. Delav b'nei pei ra'on ninahu, which are not payable. The English says, therefore they must be returned to the creditor. An ordinary payable note, however, cannot be returned to the creditor, even if it has been certified, because the debt might have already been paid.
Okay, so you see what Reb Zera is doing over here. That's why Rashi said in Dibur Maskil Kol Masa Bezdin, Rashi started off saying Kosok Kuf Samid Daled. Kuf Samid Daled meant that Rashi was saying at this juncture in the Gemora that Rabbi Amram is bringing this Mishnah we're as a proof that we don't concern ourselves with payment. We thought that this, when it says Kol Masa Bezdin, was referring to a loan document that has a henpick on it, that has a certification made by the Bezdin that the signatures are authentic and that it was duly certified before the Baal Din. And now, and according to that, we'd have a proof that we're not choshesh for pirayon. But now Reb Zera has come along and say, no, that's not what it means in the Mishnah when it says Masa Bezdin. He says what it means, Masa Bezdin, it means Shtare Chaltosa and a Drachta, which are not subject to payment. And so therefore we got no raya about whether we're choshesh for piroyan or not. Okay. Now we can do this Rashi star chaltasa.
Yeah. Sorry, what's that word? Haltasa?
Yeah.
What's that? What is the meaning of the word haltasa? A star that is a how to only to explain.
Yeah, Rashi's going to explain what that means.
Okay, article uses the word foreclosure. Star shekatu beitin. That's a star that the Beit Din writes. Lemotzi star al, to take out a star al chavero on his friend. It makes him chayav. It's telling him that he has to pay. The low shilem, and he didn't. That he was chayav to pay, and he didn't pay. The year due lenich nesav, and he goes down to his properties. Ushmo leval. And the Baal Chov, and it's in the name of the creditor. Achad, one creditor, Mayhem, one of the creditors to them, they don't know, and gives to him lo star, a star shall be based in bolo, that the based in is saying that it comes to him.
Okay, so I think you translated the article that says it's a foreclosure note. Rashi's explaining what that is really. It's a star that they write, the Bezdin writes, for somebody who is a motzi star chavero, meaning this is this star is taking place after somebody, we'll call him Jew number one. He had a star that he pulled out against Jew number two that said that Jew number two owes him 1,000. And the Bezdin accordingly accepted the star, and they officially declared that Jew number two owes Jew number one 1,000. But what happened after that was lo shilem. Jew number two never paid it. So now we go to the next step in the judicial process. What's the next step? Collection. How does Jew number one proceed in order to get his 1,000 collected from Jew number two? So he goes back to Bezdin, and Bezdin writes him, and he proves that the guy didn't pay him. I don't know how he does that. And then Bezdin writes him this star chaltasa. And what does that mean? That means that he won a judgment from Jew number two already, and Jew number two never paid him. And so now he's armed with a second document, and that document is going to authorize, is the Bezdin is authorizing him, says Rashi, Yordun Nechasav. He now goes down to the fields of the property of Jew number two. Shamo lebal chov, echad mehem. Shamo over here is referring to a shuma. They're going to make an evaluation of one of the properties of Jew number two, because I guess we're talking about a case where Jew number two has a deep pocket, and you could collect from him. And that's why Jew number one is going to the trouble of obtaining a shtar chaltasa from the Bezdin. The nasdulo shtar, and they give Jew number one this shtar. Sha'al pi Bezdin bolo, that he's authorized by the Bezdin to go down now to the properties and be torif a one of them, which corresponds to the amount that of the 1,000 that he's owed. So I don't know. That's called a foreclosure note. That's what our school said it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Foreclosure and seizure. When the court collects property of the debtor in payment of his obligation and assigns it to the creditor, the court writes a certificate of foreclosure for the creditor to serve as his proof that he legally possessed the land. That's what's called seizure
Okay, so
warrant.
he's in effect foreclosing on this property. That's the next document. There's two documents here that Rav Zera is talking about.
Right.
The first one is called Shtar Haltosa. That's what we read this Rashi. And now we got to read the next Rashi. He's going to describe what this adrachta is all about. Okay, Phil.
Now we need the word adrachta, which is another thing besides the foreclosures. Adrachta. Shalo motsu lo akshav, that it's not found now to him now. Nichasim, his properties. V'kodvu lo, when it's written to him, seyir dof, that they'll go after him. Lachzor, that they're going to then to return his properties. Drachta is Lashon Rodef, like run after. Mashiv, and what is Masig? Kamo Parsa.
Rodef Masig. He pursues him, and Masig, he catches up to him. He gets something. Sounds like he found some property that he could repossess.
What is Parsa B'Halo?
Parsa B'Chala below Adrachet. Loshen HaMikra.
The Loshen HaMikra, the thing is Ketron.
Israel. Yes, Binyamin.
In Binyamin, that's like a crown on Binyamin. They pursued him.
Okay, so this is a drachta. The drachta is it sounds like Rashi's saying that after the Jew number 2 didn't pay, and after they Jew number 1 now he's Ulai he received this foreclosure note, but they didn't find any properties that were so publicly known or available. As he's so how they gonna do with this guy, Jew number 2? So what do? Kosvulo, they write him this adrachta. What's the adrachta? It gives him an opportunity to be like Dracula, and he goes around and he's running after this guy and wants to suck his blood out. Want to find what's the account number of his Swiss bank. Sheyurduf, to pursue him, Lakzor al Nechasav, to recover some of the property that's for the unpaid debt that's owed him. V'yimsa yigva, and if he finds, so he'll collect. If he finds something, he'll collect it. So that's a different document that other than this shtar chaltos sounds like it specifies on it a specific property. But the adrachtas, we don't know where the search warrant to allow the Jew number 1 to pursue after Jew number 2 and get some money out of him that he's owed. And then Rashi goes into the whole thing of where do I get this? The adrachta means lashon rodef and masig. He pursues after and he catches up and he managed to suck his blood out. Where do I get that? Says Rashi, that's what it means. So he says he's got a Gemora in Ksuvas, and he's got a pasuk in Shoftim, Sefer Shoftim in Navi. So that's what that's all about. But it does sound very much like Dracula, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, so therefore that's what it means over here in Besdin. If we find it in the street, we're going to give it back, and it's the Baal Chov, the master of the debts. Okay, and so therefore we got no proof that they were not choshesh for priroyim. Amar Rava.
Rava said, "V'chane love b'nei Peraon Ninahu." And these and are these documents indeed not payable? V'ha amrei nechar da'e. The Nahardian scholars say, Hadar ad to Resar Yarche Shata. Seized property must be returned to the debtor if he ought to 12 months after its collection. Vamar Amemar, and Amemar said, Anna me Naharde Anna. I am from Naharde. Usavira li Deshuma Hadar Le'olam. And I hold that seized property must be returned forever. So Rava says you have to return it for 12 months, and Amemar says forever.
As long as he hasn't paid it, he's got to pay it, no?
Right.
Unless we're choshesh for piroyim.
But I don't get the significance of this, because either he loses the property or he loses the money. But in any case, he loses if this document is returned.
Yeah, we're talking about the shuma over here, meaning that we're talking that after Jew number one, he got a judgment against Jew number two, that the Jew number two in fact didn't pay the 1,000 that he was owed. That he owes, number one, that he owes it, and then he doesn't pay it, and so now they do the Bezdin authorizes a shuma of the properties of Jew number two in order to collect on behalf of Jew number one, the Malva. And what are we saying over here? Shuma Hadar ad Tresar Yarche Shasa. This shuma goes back to who? Goes back to Jew number two. Ad Tracer Yacheshasa. Up to 12 months from the time of its collection. And Amemar says that not just 12 months time do you have for it to go back. It can go back anytime. Lola. Let's take a look what Rashi says over here about this Shuma.
Shuma. Yeah. Shishmo based in the Baal Hov Karka Alove that they based in does an evaluation for the creditor of the land of the borrower.
Right. So they make this shuma, they make this evaluation. I guess that means that this property is worth 1,000. So this property is a good property to certify that Jew number 1 can take from Jew number 2. And then it says Hadar. It goes back to the Leva. Why would you go back? Let's see what Rashi means over here. What the Gemora means. What Rashi's telling us it means.
Well, if he collects it, money.
Oh, I see.
Ad shara. The money, he can collect the money up to a year.
I think what Rashi means is, right, this document allows Jew number 1 to repossess property, real property of Jew number 2, because Jew number 2 never paid back the 1,000 that he owes. So he's got this document that authorizes Jew number 1 to repossess this property, and we're saying that after 12 months, according to Rava, it's going to go back to the loiva. Why is it going to go back to the loiva? Says Rashi, the reason. If ad shana, if before the year goes out, he gives him cash on the barrelhead, 1,000 in cash. Okay, so if he gave him that, then this shuma goes back to the loiva. Okay. And the Memor says that there's an opportunity for it to go back at any time. If the guy pays, he paid. So then then obviously the Malva shouldn't have the right to repossess this property that it's listed in the Shuma. Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, good.
All the best, everybody. Have a great day.
See you tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
Good.
Yeah, Mitzvah Hashem. If everybody gets here on time, we'll do the 10 minutes of the Memches Kinyonim.
Okay, good. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All the best, Phil.